Let's face it, it can be really challenging to maintain the humidity and the temperature of your reptile's enclosure. What's the best solutions to help combat improper humidity and temperature levels? Well, I'm going to be giving you guys some suggestions in today's video. Stick around. My name is Nick Pulaski. Growing up, I have always had a passion for wildlife, and with that passion, along with my passion of filmmaking, I get taken on some amazing adventures creating wildlife content, getting up close with a variety of incredible animals. So come follow along as I pursue my goals of educating, inspiring, exploring, and conserving wildlife, all while having fun, seeing the beauty in our natural world. Hey, what's going on, guys? So if you clicked on this video, you or someone you know is probably struggling with these issues, and it's something that is quite common. So you probably live in a place maybe that the seasons change and it's really hard to kind of regulate certain things in certain parts of the seasons, whether when it gets colder and drier or the humidity levels, you're just really struggling keeping those consistent and not having these major fluctuations and the struggles that come with it for your reptile's care and well-being. And it can be super frustrating, it can be super infuriating, and you're just trying to do the best for your reptile. So kudos for you clicking on this video and trying to figure out some answers and solutions. Now, I'm not saying that this video is going to have all the answers in it, so if people do have other different suggestions, please leave those in the comments below so we all can help each other out here. I would really appreciate that, as would other people as well too. But yeah, this is something that every single reptile keeper throughout their reptile keeping journey has had a struggle with, whether it is not being able to keep a consistent temperature at the right point where it needs to be, or not keeping the humidity levels at a perfect point where they need to be as well too, and dealing with the repercussions from both of those. So don't feel bad that it's happening, but it is important to make sure that you are doing right for your animal and trying to find solutions for them. We're talking about major fluctuation differences. Now, if we're talking about a few degree differences, that's normally not an issue. Small little fluctuations, those happen every day, not a big deal whatsoever. We're talking about the major fluctuations. We're talking about 10+ degree differences. We're talking about major percentage differences in humidity levels as well too. Those are the things that you want to monitor and watch out for. And if you're seeing different signs of struggling for your reptile in terms of lethargicness, behavioral issues that just kind of come arise, or even problem shedding, those are just a few things that you could see from some of these issues. So the first thing, and I always say this is always important throughout keeping reptiles, is always just constantly reevaluating the care and the upkeep of these animals and seeing how you can better improve for them. So the first thing that I would look at that is a major factor in all of this is, how are you keeping your reptile? Let's start with what you are keeping your reptile in. Is it an aquarium? Aquariums have been something that have been so popular throughout the years of reptile keeping for decades, and they've become something of a staple and something that people have just kind of thought, you know, I'm getting a reptile, I'm going to need X amount of gallon aquarium for this reptile. And it's worked in the past, but it hasn't been the best. And there's so many major improvements out there in terms of other types of enclosures that I personally would recommend and definitely benefit the reptiles even more in terms of their upkeep and well-being and just kind of maintaining those temperatures and humidity levels. So with aquariums, you had those screen tops, and those screen tops let out a lot of heat, they let out a lot of humidity, and it was a struggle to keep those temperatures and those humidity levels up for sure. I can vouch for it. It was a huge struggle, and I could never get what I needed in those enclosures because I was always having that release of heat. I was always having that release of moisture. I was never able to just kind of keep that in there and insulate that in there and maintain those levels to the perfect degrees that they needed to be. So if that's your boat, if you're using an aquarium currently, there's nothing wrong. Again, we're not trying to bash you or anything, but it's definitely something to maybe consider upgrading and exchanging out. Using an aquarium style enclosure to something that's maybe a little bit more enclosed. And I would say something that opens from the front. There's so many different great, amazing options out there that are based on PVC enclosures, which are great for holding humidity and holding the temperature in, that I would personally recommend. They also do have little grates on the top. If you do use, say, a heat lamp, you can still use those types of enclosures too. And you're holding in that moisture, you're holding in that heat, and you're definitely going to notice a more positive change in your animal for sure. And there's a whole bunch of different brands out there that I would definitely look and seek out and see what's best for you and your needs for your specific reptile. The next thing when I'm evaluating everything is, what am I using for my bedding? What am I using for my substrate? I would recommend something that's either like a cocoa husk or cypress mulch. And the substrate you use will pertain to the humidity humidity levels that you're going to have. So with spraying and misting, those substrates are going to hold that moisture and that humidity a lot better, help keep your levels at a more consistent humidity level. So it is something that I would personally recommend switching to if you're using something completely different. I think that is definitely always something more beneficial. Not using reptile carpet. Reptile carpet is very gross, I would say. It's definitely something that harbors a lot of bacteria, and it's just not overall beneficial for the animal. Something, for example, like the cocoa husk or the cypress mulches, whatever the case may be, there's so many other ones maybe out there as well too. I would recommend personally those rather than using something like the reptile carpet. Not to mention, still something easy to maintain and clean, but also to something that's going to benefit the animal in terms of raising those humidity levels if you're evaluating what substrate you're using for these guys. Next thing I would check too is how are you gauging and monitoring these levels. I would definitely make sure that you do have a thermostat or a hydrometer in these enclosures, or some sort of temperature reading sensor and gun to make sure you are getting the proper readings for your animals' enclosures to find where the warm spot is, what the cool side is. That way you're getting accurate readings of what the warm side is, what the cool side is, what the humidity levels are. You want to make sure you're monitoring these things. And if you're not doing that, then you're not going to know how your animal is actually doing and thriving, and you might actually be seeing some behaviors that you could have caught a lot earlier as well too, or prevent any illnesses or any problems with your animal. So it's very important to make sure that you're accurately reading those things. Not to mention, it's very important too if you're using any sort of heating device to have a thermostat. That way you're getting accurate readings of the temperatures to make sure if you need to cool things down, warm things up, and make sure that levels of heat are staying proper. That way you're not potentially causing any fires or any issues for your animal. So definitely need to have those types of things in place for your animal, I recommend. I'll say, for example, if you're not able to switch out the enclosure, maybe costs are a little bit tight right now and it's something that you're saving up for, that's totally fine. For the time being, there might be some ways for you to kind of evaluate what's going on with the animal. I would also kind of evaluate where the enclosure is in your home. So maybe your enclosure is near a vent, a window, some sort of draft, or some sort of area that's going to make these temperatures kind of influx a little bit more. That is something that maybe you have to kind of reevaluate as well too. You want to make sure that this animal is in a proper spot that does not have those influxes of temperatures, that doesn't have a draft, doesn't have something that's going to be causing any issues or interfering with the reptile's habitat and well-being and maintaining those temperatures and humidity levels. So I would say moving the enclosure, that could also be an option too. That could solve some of your problems. Next thing you could do is you could always implement for humidity levels, maybe for example a misting system or a fogger to make sure that these animals are getting the proper levels that they need. Not every single species of reptile needs a misting system or a fogger, but I definitely would say if it is something that you find in your research for these animals is something that could help the animal and benefit them, I would definitely say maybe investing into that could be an also beneficial thing too, and have it on a timer so these things kind of go on and off intermediately throughout the days. But you could also just use the classic way and just use a spray bottle just like this right here. So just running around with a little spray bottle that's just like specifically for misting the animals or maintaining the animals' waters and needs, that is something that I would personally recommend too. And you're not necessarily spraying and misting the animal itself, you're actually just spraying and misting the enclosure. The animals normally don't like that, and that can also just kind of shock them. But if you're just spraying directly on the animal and nothing else, that's not going to be beneficial whatsoever. Next thing you can do if you have a screen top specifically for your animal, and that's the way that the heat and the humidity is being lost, I would recommend blocking off any free space up top there in a safe way that's not going to be interfering with your light systems or anything like that, to prevent any sort of airflow from leaving the enclosure. You'll still have airflow on the other side, so you don't want to fully cap it off, but I would say just kind of capping off certain sections of it is going to be beneficial as well too. And the way you could do that, I would say, is normally with either like a saran wrap or some sort of way to kind of wrap right around that part of the screen. That will help hold in some more moisture. It's not going to be the best way, I would say, to do it. It's definitely going to be 50-50 depending on other elements and things that are going on in the household or also in the enclosure. But I would say if you're going to go that route, I would say check other things as well too, to make sure that you're boosting those levels up as well. Obviously too, if you're dealing with temperature issues, kind of evaluating also as well the wattage of bulb that you're using, the way that you're heating the enclosure, whether you're using a heat mat, flex watt heat tape, or if you're using a heat lamp itself, making sure that you're doing things properly in terms of the heating elements and using the right proper heating element that would work best for your animal. Never using heat rocks, those things don't work, those things are unsafe, but making sure that you're using the proper wattage bulb, the proper source of heat for your animal would help as well. Going back to humidity issues, I would also recommend a humid hide. So normally I keep 2 hides in an enclosure. One is on the warmer side, one is on the cooler side, so the animal can thermoregulate and feel comfortable where it wants to go. The animal will know where it wants to go for sure. You just have to give them those options. But I would say offering a more humid hide, something that is going to maybe be filled with some sort of moss, or some, like, you can even do like bunched up paper towel balls and stuff like that and moisten those, and then just put that inside the hide. That will kind of make more of a humid chamber for this animal to go into, and it might help them shed. They might even enjoy the tighter space because there's more stuff in there that's more humid. You want to make sure you're changing that stuff out though, so it's not molding or anything. But it's definitely something I would personally recommend, is some sort of humid hide. I love it for my geckos. I love using it for snakes that have bad sheds as well too. So a humid hide is always great to implement as well. Like I said, guys, it's always important to keep track and monitor these things. Those 2 factors alone cause so many issues for reptiles that we keep, and some of the times we don't even know it because we are ultimately not doing all the things that we could be doing to making sure that these animals are well kept. So I would highly recommend considering some of these options. If you have some more suggestions down below, please leave those in the comments as well. Thank you guys so much again for watching. It truly means the world to me. If you guys could do me a few favors, if you could like the video, subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it, as well as hit that notification bell so you know when we upload. Definitely check us out on social media as well too, both on TikTok and on Instagram. We're posting some really fun stuff there as well. Thanks again for watching, and until next week, we will see you guys soon. Take care.